Welcome to the intro of the vlog, theme vlog. That was supposed to be for July. I think it's going up in August now. Don't ask me. That is people with wings on the cover. Is that complicated to explain or say? Yes. There was initially supposed to be two of these, because there was apparently a lot of them on my DVR. But yes, here we are. There's them. I don't know much about any of these, right? So it's not like I'm gonna be describing what they are. It's mostly just I will talk about them when I get to them. And I happen to have two of them from Libby right now. One of them is an audiobook that I can easily read late at night. So I'm starting this now for when I start that, right? The one that I don't have from Libby because I have it from Kindle Limited is Dance with a Fate Prince. Second book in the Lee's Cove series that I'm in the middle of. I know literally nothing about it. It's romantasy. That's all I know. That's it. I like the first one a lot. The end. The other one that I wish I had on audiobook, I don't. I may be able to get elsewhere. Is Sunbearer Trials by Aiden Thomas. Also, no, literally, I don't think I've ever read the synopsis. I don't know anything about it. Right. The only thing I know about it is that it's written by Aiden Thomas, which is why it's on my TBR, because I put it on. I think it came out right around the time that I read Cemetery Boys 2 years ago. So I like immediately put it on my TBR when I saw it was a thing, because I really like Cemetery Boys. At the end, that's why it's there. Cool. And then the third one is Hush Hush, which I do know it's from the YA 2010s female-oriented YA boom era. The audiobook's like 9 hours long. That's the one that I'm probably gonna read first. I think it's a angel romance. There we go. It's an angel romance, you know, like the post-Twilight era. That time. It's gonna be interesting. I'm intrigued because sometimes I really like them, sometimes I really despise them, especially the way they write female main characters. It really depends how the female main characters written, so we'll see how that one goes. But yeah, that's the one that I'm most likely to start like when I'm doing other things or whatnot, and I can just put on an audiobook, put on that by the way. Hence why I'm starting this now. Anyways, that's it. That's the whole intro. I will give you updates when I start any of them. Like, there's no time frame for this. Hello, hi. It's been a while. I started 2 books now. I hope to make more progress in one of them today. I may just have to speed read the rest of it tomorrow. I don't know. And, yeah. First one's Sunbearer Trials. That one I'm a little bit postponing because I'm very tired right now. And it is a book that seems very lore heavy. From what I remember of Cemetery Boys, that one was a little bit too. This one's a little bit more. And so I got through the prologue and the first chapter. Just ebook. I didn't start the audiobook yet, but it's a it's a lot of lore, and I was like falling asleep in the hammock, so I stopped there. So that's about 4%. I did not read the synopsis of it, so like I couldn't tell you what's happening really. I know that there's different types of gods. There's Obsidian, Jade, and Gold. Gold are like the ones I think they're so good, so powerful, blah blah blah. Yes, it did immediately remind me of Red Rising with that. It's so far giving me Red Rising mixed with something else that I literally can't think of. I'm like, I know something else. It reminds me of something else, but I can't remember what that is. And then of course, Cemetery Boys. But also I realized while thinking about it earlier today, Aiden Thomas's writing does give me similar vibes to F.T. Lucan's books, which, if you know anything about me, I love F.T. Lucan's books. So, at least the ones I've read. So, there's that. Yay. I don't know. It follows I think he's a teenager who is the son of the jade god who created birds. Right, so he can talk to birds. And there is a ceremony every X amount of years where all the demigods, right, compete to get this like really important title, and most of the time, like 99% of the time, it's golds that get chosen to compete, or children of golds. So like he is all like, they're so full of themselves. Also, like, why would I, like, he does not like the ceremony. He doesn't like having to be there because he happens to be a demigod. He is just very against the whole entire system, right? And all this stuff. And he's also like, I wouldn't want to do it even if I could. Like, there's no way I'm gonna be picked. Obviously he's gonna be picked, we all know this. But also there's like a chance you die. Like the last time a Jade was picked was, he said, and I don't remember how long ago it was, but they died. So like there's that aspect. Okay, so there's that. The reason why I started is my ebooks due this weekend, and I learned that I could renew it, so I decided to postpone it until my brain can handle it. So I started Hush Hush, the audiobook, because that was also due this weekend. I have read the first chapter, well, the prologue of the first chapter of that one. No. I will continue it. I will probably push myself through the whole thing, but know that I will not like it. I went in, I did read the synopsis. It's only like a paragraph long and a storygraph, and I did see the content warnings had bullying, and I was like, oh no. And it's basically about her falling for this guy named Patch, and how then weird things are happening, and so she goes to get answers from him, and then she learns she's in the middle of this war, and if she chooses the wrong side, she dies. I'm at the part where they changed assigned seats in health class, and now she's sitting next to Patch, and she has to talk to him and deal with him for a project for the school. And he is just making fun of her and bullying her. Including, but not limited to, making fun of the fact that she self-harms. And makes fun of the fact that she has a dead father. But then when she says, oh yeah, thanks, he was murdered, he goes, oh, doesn't apologize, but does look like, oh, maybe that's something I shouldn't touch. Right? As you can tell, I absolutely hate him. I don't like Patch. I don't like Patch. I don't like him. So, you know, let's see how far I can push myself before I DNF. Maybe I'll read the whole thing. I know me, I have an issue where I will read the whole thing. There is a very low chance I'll read the rest of the series, but I will read this whole book, because that's the type of person I am. I have to be yelled at 20 times to DNF a book before I actually do it. Also, I forgot the fish had read this book, because I brought it up, and the fish was like, yeah, his name's like, I forgot what they said, but something dumb that starts with P. And that it's kind of a YA romance with angels, because that's what I thought it was. And I was like, cool, that's great. Because also the prologue's about archangels, and like an archangel making the son of an archangel do bidding for him and whatnot. I assume Patch is an archangel or the son of an archangel, especially since he said the whole reason why he's there is for her. Also, he's like constantly flirting with her. It kind of gives me Mara Dyer vibes mixed with what I've heard about Fallen, but if it was like 10 times worse, like if it was the City of Bones movie level worse, but not even that, because that's like bad in a funny way, you know? What is this book? Guess who DNF'd Hush Hush? It's me. I did. I got a 21%. Okay, I've made progress. Today, I forced myself to sit down and read some of it, but there were so many voice messages sent to Bestie of me complaining. I thought they had read it. They haven't yet. So that's fun. Also, a person who I really trust when it comes to YA feminine leading romance type books, fantasy romances. I'm rated it 1 star. So put all that together, yeah, no, I'm DNFing. Like, the whole plot of it is their romance. But, and hear me out. No. No. The level of shit that's going on. They have to be partners in biology class, right? And she is already trying to figure out how to go to the teacher and be like, hey, seat me away from him, like, all this stuff. And then the teacher forces them to do this whole lesson on sexual attraction to the point where, like, literally Patch is in her lap. And she's so uncomfortable, and everyone is laughing at her, and the teacher's just like, this is normal. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And then she goes to the teacher after class and brings out the student handbook, and it's all like, hey, you have to, get, like, harbor environment where I feel safe and don't feel threatened. And he's like, you feel threatened? And she's like, yes, and uncomfortable. And she's like, I just want you to move me back to my best friend. Like, just move me back there and I will tutor someone for you, right? For free. And he goes, okay, you tutor Patch, but also you keep your assigned seats and you tutor him anyways. And I'm just like, hello? V, her best friend, talks her into sneaking in and looking at his records, and finds out that the whole file is fucking empty. Because clearly he's an archangel or something. So, like, I don't fucking know. So that's happening. You know, she's dealing with the fact that her dad was fucking murdered. And she has like some type of PTSD from this, right? Because she hears things at night while she's asleep and her mom's at work. And she, like, fears that something's coming after her, right? Like, all the time. And then she is driving her friend's car home and she sees a guy basically hit someone and he, like, rips off the door or something like that, and a bunch of stuff happens and she's freaking out. Drives to her friend's place to see, like, afterwards the car's fine, there's just, like, one small crack. So, like, how much of it was real, right? And then on top of this, she, like, feels like somebody's following her or watching her constantly. She goes to the library, and Patch happens to show up while she's at the library. And her friend's like, I want to be stalking you, haha. And she's like, and so now she's panicked because she's, like, seen somebody in her room. She, like, swears that somebody's watching her, right? So that's, like, she's thinking maybe it's Patch because, like, he shows up part of her life and then all of a sudden this is happening, right? And so then when she accidentally, also at, like, school the next day, she's all like, hey, why are we there? Where did you go afterward? And he's like, why are you questioning me? You think I'm following you? And she, like, heavily hints at yes. That's what she's worried about. And he just continues to flirt with her. And then, by flirt with her, I mean make her so uncomfortable and then everyone else is laughing at her. This is not flirting. And then she ends up after going through his records, out to dinner with her friend. And it happens to be at where he works. And they're sitting there and dude, what? It made me uncomfortable. And she's just there just like, hello? He just reaches over and wipes off her lip glosses like you look better without it. My dude. And then, yeah, and then he, basically asks her out on a date to a party on Sunday night. And she's all like, no, it's a school night, I'm not allowed to. And he's all like, okay, is that the only reason why? Or are you afraid of me? And she says, both. She admits that she is scared of this man. Like, straight up, after giving all the signals she can give. Hey, I don't like you. You scare me. Please stay away from me. And then he climbs into her lap, literally physically. He is now like, are you scared of me? And she's like, yes. And he's like, okay, let me flirt with you more. Literally, I hate it here. I hate it here so much. You know, and I would like, as all this is happening, she's thinking in her head, oh my god, I'm so scared. But also, he's kind of hot. No. No. I DNF'd at 21%. I'm moving on with my life. I may read some Bear Trials, may, like, actually finish it, make progress in it soonish. And that's that. That's the fucking update. I hate it here. It would have been a 1 or 2 star. There's no way it would have been over 3 stars for sure. And that was a miracle if it would get 3 stars. So it was probably like a 2, 2.5. So I DNF'd it. And yay. I really do not care enough to try to force myself to read it. Even if it's a short book. So that's fun. Imagine the hilarity of me DNFing every single book for this vlog. I did not wear, I'm 98% sure, the shirt that I'm going to be using for the thumbnail, or the fish is going to be using for the thumbnail, because that is just too funny for this. This is madness. What happened? Honestly, what happened, it's been a long time since I updated you. Last, I was trying to read some Bear Trials. I DNF'd at 18%. It's 100% a me issue. I don't know if the stress of trying to read all these books in such a limited amount of time and do all this stuff is putting me in a reading slump, or what. I did put in my basic review that I am not labeling it as soft enough yet, but I may try again at a later point. I just don't really think getting into another high fantasy universe, right? And with characters that I don't really care for, Tio's fine. The main character's fine. I don't have opinion one way or the other. What little bit I've seen of Geo, I think that's how you pronounce his name, the 13-year-old, I like him. He seems cool. Reminds me of Nico, honestly, a little bit. But Tio's best friend, Nia, I think that's how you pronounce her name, I really did not like her. She was getting on my nerves, and I think she's gonna be an important part of the book, right? And so, sadly, I was not getting healthy friendship and whatnot vibes from that, and that's not something I want to read right now. And also, it wasn't hitting, so I DNF'd it, and I feel really bad, and I hate that I did that. Okay, like, out of the 3 in this vlog, that one is the best one. Like, I liked it, but it wasn't for me, like, right? Like, it was gonna be a 3-star, and it was bogging me down, and I was maybe reading like 3 pages a night because I didn't want to read it, and then I wouldn't pick up anything else, and I am very behind now because of it, right? Like, this is a good book. Go read it. Don't listen to me. Go read it. I'm just crazy, and maybe in like a few years I'll try again when I'm not in the middle of so many high fantasy universes. Speaking of high fantasy universes that I DNF'd, A Dance with the Fairy Prince. I went through a shit ton of trouble like 10 minutes ago to get my hands on the audiobook, which is a feat of me, because I, unpopular book opinion, do not like dramatized audiobooks. The only time that I have somewhat enjoyed it is Good Omens by He Who Shall Not Be Named, and Terry Pratchett was the audiobook I was able to get my hands on. There's like 16 bajillion different versions, right? But the way the fish just mentioned me to the end of the Fey Prince, the version I read was one where Michael Sheen and David Tennant did all the dialogue for their characters. Like, any non-dialogue, even just like thinking in their, not really thinking in their heads, but like just like description of what's happening around them and whatnot, was not read by them. It was literally just the dialogue, but I really liked it, right? I connected it more to the show. For me, it was a good time. I still have not seen season 2, and obviously I'm pushing it back more. And whatnot. I mean, when I read Red Rising, I specifically chose not to read the dramatized version, right? Like, if that's your thing, good for you. It's not mine. I don't like them. I have enough trouble sometimes when there's 2 narrators. So you want me to try to keep track of 5? You overestimate my abilities, okay? But I was willing to go for it, but I can't with this book. I got 120 pages in. Half of that was skim reading, because that's the life I'm living. yeah, no, this was a thing. It took almost a quarter of the book for her, Katrina, if I was Katrina, that's her name. Every time they said her name, I did pronounce it in my head like, Katerina Petrova in the Vampire Diaries. And that's because the Vampire Diary deep dive videos I was watching instead of reading this book. So, I'll blame that. Anyways, Katrina, it's a Cinderella retelling. I think it's also supposed to be Calypso and Euros. Is that who they are? From Greek mythology. Basically, she has a stepmother, stepsister who treat her horribly, and then a half-sister who gets along with, but follows along with what her mother says most of the time, right? Her mother died when she was very young, and she has no memories, basically, of her. The only thing she has left of her mother is this weird book. And her stepmother immediately, like, sells her off because they're out of money, and the only person around here who does anything around the house is her. Like, they very obvious Cinderella, right? Sells her off her hand in marriage, without her ever meeting the guy, right? And in payment, he wants that book, right? So she gives it over, all this stuff. It takes a long time to get out of that whole environment, and then very quickly into her moving into this literal castle. Her sisters come to visit her, and we're immediately back. She's immediately, I get, like, her going back into the mindset of her being, when she is traumatized and abused by these people. I get it. But we also immediately have to go back into that. And I don't like that. I thought, when I picked it up and I saw, hey, emotional and mental abuse by the hands of her family. Okay. I assume within like 20 pages she'll be living with this guy and finally having the life she deserves, right? And wants. No. No, there's only like 2 people living in this castle with her. One of them her husband, who she has not seen until around a quarter of the way through the book. Because he makes her close her eyes or be blindfolded instead of seeing him. Right? But she's still into him because his voice sounds hot. Obviously, he doesn't want her to freak out because he's Fae, right? And doesn't want her to see him because of that. Now, the other person in the castle is his manservant, Oren, who helps around a lot. But she never really gets to see him because he's only around for the beginning of the day and the very end of the day. I assume because it's darker in the day and night. I don't know. And it's easier for him to hide his faeness, right? Those are the only people around. She literally reading it, she's like a weekend. She's like, I'm bored, right? And then immediately as soon as she tries to do anything that isn't just like her just playing the lute for like 20 hours a day, she's attacked by Fae. They have to save her, right? And then, oh no, now she gets a weird letter from her husband that everything's left to her. That's suspicious. That's weird. After her sisters visit her and like start mentally and emotionally abusing her, being all like, oh, how could you like do all this, and also your husband's the worst and you don't even know anything about him, so you should like basically manipulating her into ruining her relationship with her husband so that she can do better in their eyes, right? And so because of that, she starts spying on him, sees him throw her mother's book, the last thing she has from her mother, into a fire. So she jumps into the fire, which means she steals the magic that he had created doing that. And so now they gotta take her through the Faelands to go see a person to get that magic out of her and give it back to him. At which point she will most likely die. Everyone else there are like 3 other Fae now, and they all are making bets on how long it's gonna take her to die and making jokes about how she's gonna die and all this stuff, right? And this is where I'll give Katrina props, because she, in the process of all that going down, sprained her ankle. But now she's able to walk fine, and she's not having trouble walking more than multiple miles an hour, right? What? Multiple miles per hour, in an hour. She's not having trouble walking multiple miles per day. There we go. Without any food and water breaks or anything, right? Nobody's questioning this. Also, she can eat the Fae food, and it's not causing her issues, and she's just pretending like, I might as well like try in case it does not kill me. And they're like, wow, look at you actually trying. Like, something's going on here. And she's hiding it from them. Also, she has the magical ability to tell if someone's lying, right? And so she's clearly not human. We all recognize that she's probably a half-breed of some kind, right? Right? That is what's happening. But no. Instead we have to, now he is using the same tactics as well as his friends, but they don't know this. The same tactics that she has mentioned her family using, right? As well as, you tell me Orin didn't overhear everything her sisters told her, especially her half-sister told her, at least some of it, and was able to hear the way they abuse her and whatnot, and then he uses those same tactics on her. This is the second book in a week that does this, and I'm just like, at least in that one they have a conversation and he apologizes for it, and like she goes off and heals from all of that before they decide to actually start an actual relationship. Imagine, fucking imagine. Anyways, yeah, no, they're all, but he knows, he has some semblance, because she's brought it up, of the abuse she went through, and he's using the same tactics on her, as well as making her walk miles a day with no food and water, and she's the one that apologizes. I'm sorry, no. No. I was like, am I crazy? And looked at reviews, and there was one that was like, the way that everything I just described is the romantic aspect. I think it was hinting at her getting herself off to the sound of his voice and imagining what he looks like before all this, but like, that was after knowing him, like meeting him twice. Like, this isn't good. Like, no, I didn't have a good time, which is so funny because I heard a lot of people complain about the third book of the series. I don't even know I'm gonna read it. I don't think so, because this was not fun. This was not, no, this isn't romance, right? And you know, like, it's labeled as a romance, but also it's a standalone technically. Like, they could be all read as standalones, like the Elf King from the first one is mentioned, right? But like, he's briefly mentioned, and vampires are very, very briefly mentioned, which is the third one, right? So they can be read as standalones, and so you know that the romance has to be in this nearly 500-page book that took me multiple hours to get to page 120 skimming because I was not having a good time. Anyways, yeah, I DNF'd it. I'm moving on with my life. This is the biggest failure of a vlog ever, and I love that. Honestly, we should all just be happy in the fact that I DNF books now. Imagine if I didn't DNF books and I'd just be suffering for multiple more hours with this book and Hush Hush. Ugh. Just imagine. Anyways, yeah, that's that. That's this, whatever this is. I don't even know. I think the next vlog is a weekend one that I haven't read yet. Cough, cough. That one's gonna be interesting because that one is a book that I did soft DNF. That I'm gonna give a second try. So that will be interesting. But yeah, that's everything for this. I DNF'd all 3 books. Read the Sunbearer Trials. It was actually good. It was just putting me in a reading slump, and I don't got time for that. Anyways, yeah, that's that. I'm gonna go try not to hyperfixate on House of the Dragon instead of reading any books. Because that's what I was doing instead of fucking reading any of these. Yeah. That's that, I guess. Shout out to the fish who had to listen to me complain about every single one of these books. Not Sunbearer Trials, but tell me to DNF them all. Because I can't DNF a book unless they tell me to DNF it like 6 times in a row. Also, shout out to the fish for when I was explaining every issue I had with Hush Hush, going, hey, maybe that's a book I'd enjoy. So now they're gonna pick up Hush Hush because the reasons that I didn't like it, they would. And that's friendship. That's the lesson of today. Alright, I could promote things. There's links of things below. podcast included. That's it. Goodbye. Until the next video.